the last speech I gave got me into a lot of trouble. Not because of the contents of the speech itself, but because I gave it at the NPI Fall 2016 conference, which became infamous. Since I was there, and since I was Scottish, the Scottish gutter press, along with local Antifa, decided to attack me, vilify me, and dox me. And to be honest, this is a warning to anyone who's thinking of getting involved in this kind of thing publicly. Being doxxed does turn your life upside down. You can't underestimate it. And as I dealt with the immediate danger to myself and other people and began to reconfigure my life, I inevitably wondered, is this all worth it? Assuming I could just stop all of this and do something else, should I? Would I? Because it's not easy. It is trying. So, is it worth it? Now, this personal moment of doubt, for me, occurred in the middle of a period of doubt that has afflicted the alt-right in general over the last few months. There's a bit of directionlessness. There's a lot of infighting going on just now. And there's a bit of despair, I think, under the surface. Some people have commented on this, noticed it. So, I'm going to give my diagnosis of why we're going through this malaise and then attempt to neutralize it. Just to set the scene, this has been a terrible winter for us. And someone said to me on Skype a few days ago, a very interesting thing. He said that in the winter, white people tend to hibernate. That's built into us. It's what we are supposed to do. We're supposed to take it easy and retire from the cold and relax and recharge. We didn't get the chance to do that. And I think he was implying that that was a deliberate thing, that they attacked us in the winter deliberately. Either way, it's kind of poetic, and I think it does fit. But the first thing to bear in mind is the moment in time when this malaise struck. In June last year, Brexit happened. In November, Trump won the US elections. These were major victories for nationalism, of a civic variety, but nonetheless, things were moving in our direction. And you could say that they still are moving in our direction. Let's hope so. So why then, right after Trump got elected, did we enter this dark period? Trump is not the end of our struggle, but he is a plateau. He's a milestone. And I think we're not really sure how to proceed. I don't want to overstate this. Obviously, things are still progressing, things are still happening, but we're at a sort of crossroads. And I think we know that in order to make further progress, we're going to have to get better in the alt-right. More organized, more methodical, more efficient, and in some ways more serious, more dedicated. And I've learned that myself recently. It's not a game anymore. It's not just a bedroom project anymore. But I think that goes not just for me, but for everyone. We've realized, all these string of doxings, we've realized what's at stake. It is serious. And I think this idea of having to change kind of scares us, because it's new, and because it means discipline. As I say, it means the alt-right won't just be fun anymore. But there is another reason for our malaise. Our enemies are attacking us. Now, it started with the Nazi salutes at NPI, but that was not the end of it. It was just when they really got into gear. We handed them that victory. The left are attacking us for being right-wing, and more right-wing than any opposition that they have faced for many decades. Meantime, the mainstream media are attacking us for being alternative and for being confusing to them, which is something they're angry that they can't understand us. They don't like this. They're not used to this. They've always had the privilege of being able to set the narrative. And now there's the alt-right, and they don't understand. Just outside, a few minutes ago, I was discussing this. They want us to be rednecks, idiots, because then they can be, and they want us to be hateful. They want us to be villains, but they know that we're not, and it baffles them. So the mainstream media are attacking us. And then, of course, our various governments are attacking us for being rebels, reactionaries, revolutionaries, you might say. Either way, truly dangerous to the status quo. And here's what we should bear in mind when we think that our work is over, or that the movement is pointless, or that our methods are ineffective, or that the public aren't interested in our ideas. If any of that were true, then our enemies wouldn't care about us. Instead, they are homing in on us as one of the biggest threats to their narrative. We, along with the alt-right, and even figures like Sargon of Akkad and PewDiePie, yeah, are being lumped in together under the banner of fake news, which is ironic considering that we're not a news station and also considering that we're a lot less fake than they are. So, we are under attack. Richard Spencer got punched. I got doxxed. TRS got doxxed. There was the controversy with Mike Enoch. Twitter is getting more crafty and strict with its censorship, and quite unpredictable as well. The alt-right Reddit got shut down. Emily Eucas's Patreon got shut down. Reactionary Tree's Twitter was shut down, and so was Kraut and Tease. Apparently, incidentally, I'm next. Antifa have a list of targets whose Twitter accounts they want shut down. That's what they're doing. That's how arrogant they are. Meantime, Facebook is shutting down accounts all over the place. And then there's Milo. He, whatever you think of him, has also been undermined by our mutual enemies, it seems to me. In summary, the left are adapting, and they are reverting to type. They're returning to their old methods from 50 years ago. The methods of the beleaguered yet privileged underdog. Think of the middle-class university lecturer who's a Marxist, and he's got all the privilege in the world, and yet he acts like the underdog. Because in a sense he is. He is fighting against the status quo, and that is what the left are now doing. They recognize this, they know it, they've wanted, in a sense, they've craved being the underdog. And at first they were outraged, but they are regrouping. They know how to handle this situation, and they're going to do it. So the methods of the beleaguered yet privileged underdog: control, censor, guilt trip, gaslight, demonize, ostracize, and manipulate the narrative stealthily, and always cry out in pain as you strike your enemy. That's the left as manifest in media and technology today. Then there's education. At the school level and at the college level, we are seeing that the left are not accepting the new status quo of Brexit and Trump. They are not getting with the program. They're clinging to their control of the program. They're doubling down with all the ideas that got them despised by the public in general in the first place. And then the other battleground, the perennial theatre for political warfare, the street. On the street, in 2017, the left are going berserk. Rioting, shouting, weeping, and violence. They do this for various reasons: to dominate the arena, to build solidarity within themselves, to impress and intimidate bystanders, and to humiliate their opponents. Just look at the glee with which they celebrated Spencer being punched. They now glorify violence. The people who claim to be peace-loving, the people who claim to be compassionate and open-hearted and open-minded, just as they hated war until Barack Obama started waging it, just as they hated state corruption until Hillary Clinton was guilty of it, and just as they hated deceit until their media started spewing it, so they hated violence until they were the ones waging it. And now they can't get enough of it. They love it. They're getting off on it, like children discovering it for the first time. The left are out of control and hysterical, and it is going to get worse. All of the above could be applied to America. We are in Europe. We are in the true home of white people, the place where we belong, the place we must protect and hold sacred. Unlike the Americans, we don't have guns with which to defend ourselves and our loved ones and our friends and our property, it should be said. So perhaps we would be less likely than the Americans to put up a fight. But we have something they don't have: the ancient ties to these lands that our ancestors inhabited for untold thousands of years, and which they bequeath to us. And that is why we will put up a fight, and it's why we must do so. Also, the Americans, given the sheer size of the USA, always have two options: segregating or seceding. We don't have either of those options. We're boxed in, with the immigrants who are destined to replace us, and with the left, who are trained and determined to betray us. And that's why, whatever happens in Trump's America, we in Europe are destined for war. Now, the alt-right is in itself not that important. Let's not fetishize it. It's just a mechanism by which whites are awakened, whether they are the ancient Swedes, the ancient Celts, the ancient Saxons, the ancient Franconians, the ancient Basques, or the modern Americans. The alt-right is a bridge between this dreadful, atomized and hollow age and a future secured for white children. The alt-right is a bridge from the strip malls and the banal consumer products and the multicultural swamps of the modern Western nation to a future in which white people do recognize themselves and do understand that there is more to life than the strip mall and the consumer product and the multicultural swamp, and do know that they are of a very special continuum, that they are the latest iteration of a beautiful creature which perceived beyond the material and above the base, and fell in love with what it glimpsed there. A strong, creative, and innocent creature which dreamt higher and delved deeper than we today can even conceive of. We probably cannot do it ourselves because we are too atomized. So we must instead remember and believe that our spirit, our matter, our soul is capable of it. That memory of greatness and the potential for grace is what now hangs in the balance. Our work is not over, and our movement is not pointless. If our methods are ineffective, then we need to shape up and improve those methods and come up with new ones. If the public are not interested in our ideas, then we have to get better at communicating to them that they damned well should be interested in our ideas. It falls to us. The various malaises that we will inevitably go through must be got through, must be survived and outlasted and learned from. The various opponents who can be got through to must be got through to. And the many obstacles which will inevitably be placed in our way must, to the best of our abilities, be swept aside. And never forget, our enemies are scared of us, and that has to mean something. And as for motivation, what is it that we're doing? What is the alt-right for? The alt-right exists because the 14 words are necessary. The alt-right exists to take us from here to there. The alt-right exists because it is time. We were indeed born too late to explore the earth and too early to explore the galaxy, but just in time to secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. Thank you.